Hello students, this is Ms. Dalton and this is Notes 3-1, Add, Subtract, and Multiply Polynomials. So the objective is that the learner will add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. We're going to begin with the key vocabulary. So what I've done is up at the top of your page, if you want to scan the code that's on your notes packet, and that's going to take you to a website that's going to help you fill in the blank. So please scan the code, or you can just type in the address. I've put that on there as well, and have the top part of your notes filled in when you return to class on Monday. Okay, so let's work some examples. So for example 1, it says perform the indicated operations. So if you look at example 1, you can see that it is a not a multiplication, it's a subtraction problem. And so what we need to do when we subtract is you're going to combine like terms. But before I can subtract, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to distribute that minus to everything in this second parenthesis, because you can think of that as just a minus 1 times all of this. So when you have minus 1 times a parenthesis, then you have to distribute through that minus. So let's go ahead and do that. So if I distribute that through, let me go ahead and change the color here. If I distribute that through, then what you're going to end up having is you're going to have a negative 5x to the third, and then a minus 10x to the fourth, and then a plus 6x, and then a minus 14. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine our like terms. I'm going to start with my x to the fourth. I have a negative 7x to the fourth, and then over here I have a minus 10x to the fourth. So if I add those together, that's going to give me a negative 17x to the fourth. Okay, and then let's look at our x to the thirds. We don't have any in this first parenthesis, but in the second parenthesis we have a negative 5x to the third, so I'm going to write that next. And then we're going to look at our squared terms. So for our squared terms, we have an 11x squared, and then we have no squared terms over here, so we're just going to copy that down. Plus 11x squared, and then our x terms, let's get a different color for that one. So for our x terms are negative x and then plus 6x, so that's going to give us a plus 5x, and then negative 8 plus a negative 14, that's going to give you a negative 22. Okay, so we do have them listed in decreasing order, and so this is my final answer. Okay, on number 2, go ahead and try that yourself. Remember, just combine like terms and press play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, here's the answer to number 2. It's boxed in red. If you did not get this answer, please try and go back through your work, check it, and if you still can't figure it out, put a question mark by it so you can remember to ask me tomorrow. Okay, so now let's look at some multiplication examples. In number 3, we have 7x minus 3 times 8x plus 5. This is a binomial times a binomial. So what we're going to do to organize this, and you might have been taught this way when you were in Algebra 1, we're going to use what's called the box method. And so we're going to put the binomials on the outside of our box. And it doesn't matter where you put them. I usually put the first one on the left side, so 7x minus 3. And then the second one is going to go on the top, 8x plus 5. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to multiply the dimensions together. So you have 7x times 8x, which is going to give you 56x squared. And then if you take 7x times 5, that gives you a positive 35x. And then if you take negative 3 times 8x, that's going to give you negative 24x. And then negative 3 times 5 gives you a minus 15. Okay, so now we're going to take the terms that are on the inside of our box and we're going to write them down. So 56x squared plus 35x minus 24x minus 15. And what you'll notice is you'll have these two inside terms that we could add together. We can collect those like terms. So our final answer is going to be 56x squared. 35 minus 24 is 11, so plus 11x, and then minus 15. Okay, and it is written in descending order. We don't have any other like terms to add together, so there is our answer. Alright, so moving on to number 4. Let's go ahead and make our box. But this time on the left side of my box, I have two terms, a binomial. So I'm going to have 5x here and plus 4 here, which is going to divide this box in half lengthwise. But then on top I have x squared minus 3x and then plus 2. That's going to divide this top into columns of 3. When you multiply them together, you're going to have 5x times x squared, and that's going to give us 5x to the third. And then we have 5x times a negative 3x, that's negative 15x squared. And then 2 times 5x is plus 10x. Okay, the bottom row we have 4 times x squared, which gives us 4x squared. And then 4 times negative 3x is negative 12x. And then 4 times 2 is 8. So if you notice that you can add some together in the box, just go ahead and do that. I notice that this 4x squared will add together with my negative 15x squared. So first I'm going to start by writing down the 5x cubed. And then 4x squared minus 15x squared is negative 11x squared, or minus 11x squared. And then we also have a positive 10x plus a negative 12x, which is going to give us minus 2x, and then we have plus 8. Okay, so there's your answer there. Okay, number 5, it's a little bit different because we have a binomial squared. So what I want you to keep in mind whenever you have a binomial squared is that just means that that binomial, 5x plus 11, is going to get multiplied by itself twice. So it's 5x plus 11 times 5x plus 11. Okay, so we can go ahead and make our box. It's kind of a crooked box, isn't it? And then on the left side I have 5x plus 11, and on the top 5x plus 11. Now you guys go ahead and multiply this together, and when you're ready to check your answer, press play again. Okay, here's the answer to number 5. You should have gotten 25x squared plus 110x plus 121. Okay, so moving on to number 6. When you have 3 things being multiplied together, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to just do 2 at a time. So we'll multiply the first 2 binomials together, and then we're going to take the answer of that and then multiply it times the x plus 7. So let's first do these binomials. And if you're getting to the point to where you're like, okay, I don't really need to make this box because I can just multiply those together by using FOIL or just using mental math. You don't have to make the box, but it's always a good way to organize your work. So again, I do believe that it helps. So I multiply those together. I get x times x is x squared. I get negative 3x on the bottom, negative 4x on the right side, and then negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. Okay, so when I combine those together, when I combine my like terms, I'm going to get x squared, negative 3x, negative 4x is negative 7x. plus 12. Excuse me, my son is getting into the ice and it's making some noise, so I apologize about that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this answer and you're going to multiply it by the x plus 7. So when I do that, here's my box, so let me just go ahead and draw it in here. You're going to have two terms on the left side. So let's go ahead and put the x plus 7 here. And then on top, I'll have this, x squared minus 7x, and then plus 12. Okay, so I'll have these three columns here, and we'll go across this way. So go ahead and multiply them together. X squared times x gives you x cubed. X squared times 7, 7x squared. Negative 7x times x, negative 7x squared. Negative 7x times 7 is negative 49x. 12 times x, 12x. And then 12 times 7 is 84. Okay, so let's look at our like terms. We have x cubed, which that's just going to be by itself, x cubed. Negative 7x squared and positive 7x squared cancel. Negative 49x and the 12x, let's see, that would give you negative 37x, so let's write that down. And then you're going to have your plus 84. And that is what it multiplies out to be. Okay guys, don't forget to fill out your whisk. Come to class tomorrow. Again, this should be an Algebra 1 review with factoring, but we are going to use this with quadratics, and so that's why I'm reviewing it again. So come to class tomorrow ready to do some problems. Have a good evening.